Dinking is one of the most important aspects of pickleball. And if you don't do it well or don't know correct strategy, you're honestly gonna lose a lot of games. So in this video, I'm gonna be sharing the 5 most common misconceptions people have about dinking in general and how to fix it so you win more pickleball games. So let's get into it. This first misconception, I feel like a lot of people are guilty of, and it's feeling like you have to be glued to the kitchen line. Now, there's a truth and tension here because the kitchen is truly the most offensive place to play in pickleball, but something happens when you hug the kitchen line the whole time, and I'll show you what I mean. If you're unwilling to move off of this kitchen line, what ends up happening is I have to take a lot of balls out of the air, and sometimes those balls are gonna land at my feet. Now, as you can see, a ball landing at your feet is a very hard ball to get over, and if you do get it over, then it's probably not gonna be a really offensive ball. So instead of feeling like you have to be glued to this kitchen line, let yourself go ahead and take a step back to give yourself more time. What this is gonna do is it's gonna allow you to let that ball get to the apex, and you'll be able to hit a way more offensive shot. Now, it's really important that you do recover back up to this line because you wanna make sure that you have that opportunity to take balls out of the air. Which brings me to my next misconception, and it's where a lot of people just hang out back here and they never get to the kitchen lines. Now, what happens when all of a sudden I get pushed back off the line and I stay here is I'm missing so many opportunities to take a ball out of the air and attack. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and ask my drilling partner, what ball is harder to anticipate? A good speed up off the bounce or a good speed up out of the air?
Definitely out of the air.
Okay, and why is that?
Because I have less time to prepare.
Exactly. So if you are just hanging back in this mid-court and you're only able to create offense off the bounce, that's okay, but you're missing those opportunities to take time away from your opponents to hit an attack out of the air. Because remember, that gives way less time for them to see where you're going and be able to react. So if you get pushed off the line, that's fine. You can absolutely dink off the line. Just make sure you pop back up in between shots and surprise your opponents with some attacks. This next dinking misconception has personally lost me so many pickleball games, and it's this idea that you have to hit every dink aggressively. Now, I get that you want to be offensive. That's a really good mentality to have, but sometimes I need to remind myself the best pickleball players in the game, Annalie Waters and Ben Johns, both hit defensive lift dinks. Now, here's what's going to help you. You should really be wary about getting an aggressive dink and trying to overpower it with more aggressiveness. Pace and adding more pace just becomes harder to control. And remember, a good dink is a dink that you're in control of. So instead of meeting an aggressive dink with an aggressive dink, use this concept that Colin Johns talks about. And it's the pattern of aggressive and defensive dinking. So how it works is if I get defensive dink, then I can hit an offensive one in return. If I get a defensive dink, I'm gonna hit an aggressive dink in return. It's never wanting to meet aggressive with aggressive, and you never wanna meet defensive with defensive. Anytime you get that defensive dink, you really wanna take that opportunity and make it offensive, okay? That's your opportunity to change the control of the game. Now, I really wanna hit on what is an aggressive dink, because some people will be like, oh, well, if it has topspin on it, it's aggressive. That's not true. A topspin dink can be aggressive or it can be defensive. Aggressive simply means how it makes you feel when you get it. So if you feel like you're pressurized or you feel like you're off balance or it takes you by surprise, that dink was offensive. But if somebody hits a higher pace topspin dink to you, but you don't have to move and you see it and you're on balance, that's not really an aggressive dink. You're getting an aggressive dink if you're uncomfortable and put under pressure. That's when you hit a defensive dink back. So don't automatically classify, well, it's got topspin or it's got pace, it's aggressive. Not necessarily true. Aggressive isn't what they give you, it's what it does to you. Oh, hey, if you're watching this channel, it probably means that you really like pickleball. And if you really like pickleball, you probably want to get better at it, which means you should enroll in my free Mastering the Dink video series. What's going to happen is you're going to click the link below, and I'm going to send you one video to your inbox every single day for the next 15 days with a tip that's going to level up your dinking. Now back to the video. Now we're gonna go into dinking misconception number 4, and this one drives me crazy. And it's the thought that all dead dinks are bad. Now, a dead dink is classified by a dink that doesn't have a lot of pace or spin, or what we call action on it. And a lot of people have and subscribe to this mentality that any dead dink is bad. But here's the thing, J.W. Johnson and Dylan Frazier are one of the best men's teams in the world. And honestly, they hit a lot of dead dinks. Now, here's the difference. There's 2 types of dead dinks. There are dead dinks that are shallow, so they land really shallow in the kitchen. And then there's dead dinks that are deeper, which are gonna land kind of past the kitchen and bounce really high. Now, here's the deal. Any dead dink that bounces above the net is a bad dead dink. But a shallow dink that lands in the kitchen, I can't do anything with. I can't really be offensive with it. I can't really attack it, because if I attack it, that ball's gonna go totally out or in the net. So a shallow dead dink is honestly pretty deadly and super frustrating for opponents to handle. Granted, you still want to mix up your strategy and mix up your placement, but just because it's a dead dink doesn't mean it's a bad dink. A dead dink can be a deadly offensive strategy. This next dinking misconception is like the other side of the coin, and it's people thinking that deeper dinks are always better. Now, when I first started dinking, I was explained that there were 2 types of dinks. There were shallow dinks, meaning anything that landed in front of the kitchen line, and pressurized dinks, which was the kitchen line and back. Now, the reason why pressurized dinks are harder is you're landing at your feet, and those are just inherently harder dinks because you're having to make that decision. Do I take it off the bounce, off the short hop, or do I back up, or do I take it out of the air? So there's a lot of indecision that can happen with a pressurized dink. That's why people think, oh, pressurized dinks are better. However, here's the deal. Like we were saying, those dead dinks that are shallow are very strategic. And that's a very safe dink to hit because you know that your opponents can't attack. Where I see people get in trouble when they try to target the pressurized dink every single time is they're hitting me flatter dinks. So that means when they're getting to me, I can take them out of the air. And like I was saying before, when I can take something out of the air, my opponents have very little time to react to it. So I always tell people, if you are trying to hit pressurized dinks, you want to think of pace, place, and shape. Shape meaning it has to have some type of arc to it. That way it's dipping when it comes to me. Place meaning they have to pull me somewhere that I'm not. That way I have to move my body. And then also pace, meaning changing the pace of the rally so that it adds a little bit more confusion. So simply hitting me a deeper dink where I'm balanced, it's right to me, I'm gonna attack that every time. But if you're gonna hit a deeper dink, you need to think of place, shape, and pace. That's the only way you're gonna be successful hitting deeper dinks into the transition zone area. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe because we're gonna be putting out so many more videos to help you win more pickleball games.